Hello everyone, this is the next video of Fortinet NSE 4 series, and this is the also continuation video of firewall authentication. And today video we will learn the multi-factor authentication, 40 tokens, and so on. So let's begin the video. So the first topic of the today video is the two-factor authentication. So a strong authentication that improves security by preventing security attacks with the use of static passwords alone require two independent methods of identifying a user, something you know such as password or PIN, something you have such as token or a certificate. So we already aware that we have the first level of authentication where we have to typically define a password, and we have the second method of authentication that could be a token, means that you will receive a token on your any mobile application, just like Google Authenticator or 40 Authenticator or the Microsoft Authenticator, where we have time of 60 seconds to generate a new password and apply that password on the application to authenticate successfully of the second factor authentications. So this can be a two-way. The first way would be the password or PIN, and the second way we must have some kind of token or certificate that we have. So the both way is known as the second factor authentication or the multi-factor authentication. Both are the same thing. So this is the continuation video of the this second factor. The first time, what are the two-factor authentication type? The first is the one-time password OTP that can be used only a one time. OTP are more secure than the static password, and this can be generated from the application based or any RSA device or any kind of physical appliances, and available on both user and administrator account. So the two-factor authentication is available for both either the user or the administrator accounts. Administrator means that user who will manage the FortiGate firewalls. And method of OTP delivery includes, so the first one is the 40 token, 200 or 40 token mobile. So this is the physical appliance, and this is the 40 token mobile. Generate a 6-digit code in every 60 seconds based on unique C and GMT time. Or alternative ways are SMS or email. And OTP is sent to user email or SMS. Email or SMS must be configured the user account. Means that these are the ways to generate a second way authentication. And 40 token mobile push support two-factor authentication without requiring user to enter a code, and it is recommended that to sync the NTP server on the your second factor authentications to the FortiGate firewalls. So, and the behind of idea of the second factor authentication is, let's say your static password got compromised, then a hacker or intruder can access your other application, where in the chances are most of the user use same password in the multiple places. So if your primary password got compromised, so in that case your other accounts can also compromise. To safeguard other accounts or safeguard your current accounts, this second factor authentication is needed. And this is the in this slide, this is the working of the 40 tokens. So this 40 token, the mechanism is like, there is the two components. The first is the time. This is the time. Okay, this is the time, and another is the seed. Time plus seed. So using two, time plus seed, this OTP generated device generate a OTP password. What about that algorithms? The same time plus seed, it is also available on the algorithms, means that validation server. So on the client side versus the validation servers, they do have a both way, means they have same algorithm. The on the OTP side, using that this time and seed, they will generate an algorithm. Using that algorithm, OTP will generate. Once user entered that OTP, it comes to the validation server. Validation will also use time plus seed to generate algorithms, and using that algorithms, that OTP will verify that the provided OTP is correct. So how the Forti token will works in this case? The first would be this using the algorithm OTP is generated. Second step would be the user has provided static password plus OTP. This will send to the validation server. Validation server will also do a same activity time using time plus seed. They will generate algorithms. Using algorithms, they will validate this second authentication that that is working fine. The provided OTP from user, it is valid. After this, and in the previous slide I also confirmed that we need to time sync with accurate information about the validation server. Means that validation server means that your FortiGate client should be synced with the NTP server. And here we have this static validate static password, means that this could be your TC, means that Active Directory. So this is the two way. The first way how authentication will work. Once the user has provided the static password, the static password will verify by the AD. And other way, the second factor, that OTP, using same algorithm, FortiGate will act as a validation server to validate this OTP. So this is the working of the Forti tokens. How this Forti token is working. And how we can assign this Forti token to the users? We have to go to user and authentication and the Forti tokens. We have option to create a new. We have a two ways. The first one is the hard token. Second is the mobile token. And we have to get this activation code from the Fortinet. Also, once we assign the soft token to one FortiGate firewall, this cannot be assigned to the any new secondary firewall. Any new firewall means that one activation code is valid for the one FortiGate firewall. So we have two ways. The first one is the hard and second is the mobile token. So after assigning these Forti tokens, we have to assign this on the user and groups. So we can go to this username. This is the username. Basically, student, it is the enable, and this is coming from AD user, or this is the basically a user group, in which user group this user is assigned. Here we have enabled the two-factor authentication. In two-factor authentication, I have selected the Forti token and I have assigned the Forti token address. So using this FortiGate token, the user will authenticate for the second step verification, that multi-factor authentications. And what are the authentication methods? The first one is the active method and second one is the passive method. So in the active method, user receives a login prompt. User manually enter the credentials to authenticate. POP3 LDAP radius local at TechX Plus. So basically, in the active authentication method, user will receive a captive portal on their web browser for the authentication. Means that user have to provide their actively user ID and password. Using that user ID and password, FortiGate will authenticate the sessions. The second is the passive. So in the passive, user does not receive a login prompt from the FortiGate. Credentials are determined automatically. Method varies depending on the type of authentications used, that FSSO, RSSO and NTLM. So it means that user identity will be verified from the backend. Do not require any user ID and password. It is the similar to the SSO. This is the RSSO. This means that single sign-on process. If you authenticate by your AD server, that AD servers are already added with your FortiGate. So using that, and other mechanisms are also available for SSSO. For FSSO, FortiGate single sign-on, and RSSO, as it is also available for the or single sign-on services. Means that in the passive way of authentication, we do not require to enter any username and password. In the active, we have to define the username and password. So there is the other thing. This is the policy based on the user groups. Means that user identity we are using on the FortiGate policies. Then firewall policies can be used user and user group object to define the source. The objects include local firewall account, external PKI and FSSO user. Anyone who belongs to group and provides the correct information will have to successful authentication. So in this section, while creating a policy, these fields are for that I wrote that policy related to the policy configuration. Here we have defined the source, and in this section we have defined also the user and groups, external server users. So during the policy validation or policy evaluation process, these users will only have access of this destination. So this is the destination, basically web access and FTP. So during the policy validation, that user authentication will also taken care if we create a policy based on the user and groups. So there are the prerequisites also required to perform a firewall authentication. The first is the a firewall policy must allow a protocol to order to show authentication dialogues. Used are active authentications, HTTP, HTTPS, FTP and telnets. So I just confirm that in active authentication, user will receive a captive portal, and captive portal they have to enter the credentials. So that captive portal is working on this HTTP and HTTPS. For that we have to allow these protocols in order to perform authentications. All other services are not allowed until users has authenticated successfully through one of the protocol listed above. So once that user will receive a captive portal, if does not authenticate successfully, then other services will not allowed since the user is not authenticated successfully. So this is required for the active authentications. So that yeah, so let's so this is the active authentication behavior. So there is the thing, the first thing is, let's say you have created a policy and in the policy you have defined the users, and in the second policy you have some users and groups, but in the third policy we have not defined any user base things. Means that the source will be IP and the destination will be the IP. Here we have not defined any kind of user base identity. So what will be the policy order will be, once the firewall receive a traffic, it will validate for this firewall policy one, but in the firewall policy one, user is not authenticated, so it means that this firewall policy will be skipped. It will check for the second one, but in this policy user is also not authenticated, this policy will be skipped. But in the third policy we have IP to IP communication. In this case we have not defined the user identity. So in this case the firewall policy ID 3, it will match the communication and allow the traffic if all other fields are matching. Means that source IP, this will be the source IP and this will be a destination IP. If source and destination is matched, then in this case this connection will be allow or deny based on the action. So the idea would be, if user is not authenticated in these first two policies, but the third policy we have created to catch all traffic. This is for the catch all. So this is for catch all. If authentication is not happening due to any reason, so in this case this third policy will take into place and catch all traffic and take the required decision. So we have noticed this thing, user is not authenticated, but still this third number policy is taking place. Why taking place? Because we have not defined any identity on this policy, and the agenda is like If any user is not authenticated, that traffic should not be blocked, and it will match to this policy to allow the connection. So to override this behavior, we have option 1. The option 1 will be the enable authentication on every policy that could match the traffic. All firewall policies must have authentication enable active or passive. So in the firewall policy side, the option 1 will be the we have to enable the authentication that could match all traffic. The second option will be enforce authentication on demand. Enforce authentication on demand means that let me change the color. This is the command config user settings set auth on demand. So in the if we not modified by default, what will be the action? This will be the implicit. So in the implicit action, so if the user identity does not match on the policy 1, 2, and if third policy don't have any user identity base, that will match and take the action. But what is our requirement is we will enforce on demand authentication and will select the always. So what we will select the always in this case, if we select always, so in this case, if user is not matching their identity, then further policy validation will not happen, and it will that sessions will be not allowed. It will not go to this policy for because we have not assigned any user, but it will not go for the further inspection because we have set the set auth demand always. So means that without identity no connection will be allowed. What are the benefits of it? It provides the more general control. Authentication is enabled at the firewall policy level. You must place passive authentication policies on top of active authentication policies. Means that what will be the order of authentication here? The authentication order will be the place passive authentication policies on top. So what are the passive authentication? These SSO, single sign-on, are the passive authentication. So passive authentications will be top and the active authentications will be below. Means that after passive authentication, active authentication will take into a place. So this is the way to managing your authentication behavior, and this is very important for the authentication process. And so there is another topic is like active authentication behavior, option number 3. The option number 3, enable a captive portal on the ingress interface for traffic. So let's say if you know the authentication will go on particular interface, then open that interface and enable the captive portal on the interface level. So what are the benefits? The authentication happens on the interface level. Traffic is not allowed without valid authentication unless it matches an exemptions. All users are prompted for the authentication before they can access any resource. Means that we have now apply authentication on interface. So any user who's trying to access a network, they will prompt for the authentication on the interface level only. So the last slide of this video will be the monitoring of the users. So we have option that assets and identity firewall users. We will get the list of users who is successfully authenticated from the FortiGate firewall and they are accessing the network. So we have options that we can de-authenticate from the FortiGate side also. So this was the video related to that firewall authentications and active and passive authentications, which is the important topic of the FortiGate firewall. So that's all for this video, and thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe Firewall Expert for this kind of video. Thanks for watching. Bye.